بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dearest brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, this is the final episode, if you like, of the course, How to Focus in Salah. And today, inshallah, what we hope to do is cover most of the words of the Salah. So far we have done the opening takbir al-ihram, we have done the opening dua, we've also done the isti'adha, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, and we also have taken the basmala as well. So we have quite a bit to get through. Alhamdulillah, inshallah, personally I'm very excited to go through the rest of the salah words with you. Amazing amount of benefit in knowing them, inshallah. We ask Allah's tawfiq to open our hearts and minds to embrace and internalize them. Allahumma ameen. I want to start with a quote from Imam al-Ghazali. Imam al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, in his Ihya al-Ulumuddin, he said that the salah is the way Allah connects the hearts of people to Himself. But then he said that the amount of connection you have with Allah through the prayer is proportional to the amount a person understands what he calls the secrets of the words of prayer. Yeah, he said the hidden and secret meanings of the words of prayer. And then he said that knowing the meanings of the words of prayer is the haqq of those words themselves. Meaning that those words that we recite, yes, like those du'as, we say Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil A'la, they have a right over us. And their right is that you know what they mean. And then he said that the proportion of the salah that a person will experience is proportional to the amount he knows those meanings. And so he concludes by saying that therefore, when you pray, a person should read slowly with contemplation. Now this is a very good lesson, tip. In order to focus in one's prayer, a person needs to slow down. I see a lot of people, they pray extremely fast. Yes, they're going through the motions at rapid speed. And if you were to listen to the way they are reciting so fast that I don't think anyone could understand, even if you were an expert in Arabic language, what this person is saying. You know, sometimes you read Taraweeh in certain places and the Imam is reciting so fast, even if you are Hafiz, you cannot catch up with this person. Yes. In fact, subhanAllah, one of the Imams, he came up to me and he said, he leads Taraweeh for many years and he did hifd as a child. He said, I feel guilty about something. He said, I feel guilty about the fact that even if I want to slow down in my recitation, I can't, because if I slow down, I forget. Because the way I memorized at supersonic speed. So if I try to recite slowly, I start to mess up. And he said, I feel so guilty about this. Yeah. Did you know that there is a verse in the Quran that the Prophet ﷺ, he recited the entire night, over and over again. There's a verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah towards the very end of the surah, where Allah Jalla wa Ala says, إِن تُعَذِّبَهُمْ فَإِنَّهُمْ عِبَادُكَ وَإِن تَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ فَإِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Short verse. Meaning, the meaning of it is, if you punish them, then they are your slaves. Meaning you can do with them whatever you want. وَإِن تَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ. But if you forgive them, then you, no doubt about it, are the Almighty and the All-Wise. And the Prophet ﷺ, he repeated this verse over and over again. In the narration it says, even during the ruku' and the sujood. Which is interesting because the Prophet ﷺ told us we are not allowed to recite Quran in the ruku' and the sujood. So he was asked, how come you recited this until the morning time? He said that in my ruku' and my sujood, I was asking Allah for ash-shafa'ah, for the intercession for all of humanity. Meaning that verse was motivating me to make that dua in my ruku' and sujood. Until he said, by the time Fajr came, Allah answered my dua. And I am saving that intercession for Yawm al-Qiyamah. Subhanallah. This one verse, the Prophet ﷺ read it and reread it over and over again. And that shows us, brothers and sisters, that it's better to read slowly and understand and contemplate the meaning than reciting fast, even if you were to read more Quran. Isn't it? If it was more virtuous to recite more Quran, the Prophet ﷺ wouldn't have kept reciting one verse over and over again. But it is better to recite a little and reflect over what you are reciting than to recite a lot more. Okay, so where are we so far? We've learnt that you start the prayer with Allahu Akbar. And what is the translation of Allahu Akbar? Allah, yes? Allah is the greater. Is Allah? Allah is greater, ... Very good. It's an incomplete sentence, and you are completing it by demonstrating that Allah is greater by stopping whatever you are doing in that moment of your life. Now you have started the salah. You begin not by asking for something for yourself, but you begin by praising Allah, celebrating His greatness with the opening dua. Now that you are engaged in a prayer, you're very wary of an attack from shaitan. He doesn't want you to have a beautiful, meaningful prayer. So in order to protect yourself from the waswas of shaitan, you make isti'adha, a'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. But you just don't want a prayer that's going to be free of waswas. You want a prayer that's going to be blessed and special. So you make the basmalah. You say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, invoking the barakah in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hoping thereby to experience something special. Now the next word in the prayer that we are going to speak about is what you say in ruku'. You say Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, I've written the translation here, how perfect my Lord is. Al-Azim, translation is the supreme. Yes. Last time I explained to you what Subhan meant. Subhan meant to declare the perfection. Subhanallah, declaring the perfection of Allah. Something very interesting about this word. The Arabs, from the same root of Subhan, they have the word Sabban. Sabbah. The word Sabbah means to swim or to float. Now I was very curious, what's the link between swimming and declaring the perfection of Allah? So I read one of the scholars say that the connection is when a person swims, he keeps his head above water. In the same way, when you say Subhanallah, you are elevating Allah's name above and beyond imperfections. So when you say Subhana Rabbil Azim, you are saying that Allah is above the silly things people say about Allah, the negative thoughts that people have about Allah, the things that people do to set up rivals with Allah. Allah is above all of this. And He is Rabbi, my master, which is a more personal way of speaking about Allah. And then you describe Allah as Al-Azim. Al-Azim has three meanings. One of them is greatest. He's the greatest. But another meaning is that Allah is the highest. Another meaning is Allah has the most honor. So greatness, the highest, and the most honor. We don't say Subhana Rabbiyal Al-Kabir. Al-Kabir means the greatest, but it doesn't have the other meanings which Al-Azim has. One of the beautiful things about saying Allah is Al-Azim in that particular posture is that when you bow like this, you yourself have lowered your head. And then you refer to Allah as Al-Azim, which has the meaning of being high. You are low and Allah is high. But also the meaning of being great and strong. When a person is in the bowing position, physically he is actually in a weak posture. If a kid was to run into the back of you when you're in ruku', you would fall flat on your face. Yes? But here, in a position of weakness, you are declaring that Allah is the greatest and the strongest. Yes? These are some of the meanings of Subhana Rabbil Azim. Now, besides this, saying these words, the Prophet ﷺ used to say some other things as well. He used to say, Subuhun Qudusun Rabbul Malaikati wal Ruh. Perfect and holy He is, Lord of the angels and Ar-Ruh, which means Jibreel alayhi salam. And he would also say, Subhana dhil jabaruti wal malakuti wal kibriyai wal azama. How perfect He is, the possessor of total power, sovereignty, magnificence, and grandeur. This is the way the Prophet ﷺ used to praise Allah in his ruku'. And my advice, brothers and sisters, is that you memorize these. It's not very long. Subuhun Qudusun Rabbul Malaikati wal Ruh can be memorized very easily. But when you're in ruku', switch things up. Imam al-Nawawi, he said that a person can say all of them together. He can say Subhana Rabbiyal Azim 3 times. Then he can say Subuhun Qudusun Rabbul Malaikati wal Ruh as many times as he wants. And then he can even say Subhana Dhil Jabaruti wal Malakuti wal Kibriyai wal Azama. Or he can mix it up. But he said a person should always say Subhana Rabbiyal Azim at least once. And then he can add to it whatever he wants. Next. What do you say when you stand up from the ruku'? Sami Allahu liman hamida. What does Sami Allahu liman hamida mean? It means may Allah hear the one who praised him. Now what did you just do in ruku'? You just praised Allah. So when you stand up from ruku', you say, Allah, please hear me praising you. Yes? Make me of those that you are listening to as I am praising you. It's a beautiful thing to say. And then you say what? Rabbana lakal hamd. There's actually 4 ways of saying that. What's the meaning of it? Rabbana, our master, for you is all praise. You say Rabbana lakal hamd. Then you say Rabbana walakal hamd. What's the difference there? Anyone get the difference? Huh? What was the difference? This chap here with Adidas. You didn't hear the difference? I'll say it again. رَبَّنَا لَكَ الْحَمْدِ رَبَّنَا وَلَكَ الْحَمْدِ. The first one has more what? Voice? The second one has something extra. Yes. It has the wow, very good. Slight difference. But then there's another way. Allahumma Rabbana lakal hamd. And Allahumma Rabbana walakal hamd. All these 4 have been authentically reported from the Prophet. And again, mixing up every time you pray helps you focus more on the prayer because you're selecting these words. You are engaging in the meaning of those words. There's something else a person used to say as well. There's a narration that a companion said, once we were praying behind the Prophet ﷺ and he stood up from his ruku'. And he stood for so long before going into sajda that we thought that he forgot. We thought that he forgot, yani, what's next? He stood for that long. So they said, Ya Rasulullah, what is it that you were saying when you were standing? So part of what he said is this extra wording as well. Allahumma Rabbana wa lakal hamd, Allahumma Rabbana lakal hamd, mil'u as-samawati wa mil'u al-ardi wa mil'u ma shi'ta min shay'in ba'd. Ahlu al-thana'i wal-majd. That actually continues on with a longer narration. The meaning is, all praise is due to you, Allah. A praise that fills the skies, a praise that fills the earth, and a praise that fills whatever there is beyond that. As if to say, we don't know what really exists, Allah, out there. You know everything that exists. And we want your praise to be filling everything that exists. Now you go into sajda. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Amazing thing to say. How perfect is my master? Al-A'la. What did you say in ruku'? Al-Azim. Here you say Al-A'la. Al-A'la means the highest. Both in terms of Allah's position, but also in terms of His rank. Both above us He is the highest, but also the highest in terms of His rank and significance in our lives. Imam al-Ghazali, he said that a person, he is declaring Allah to be the highest whilst he has placed the most beloved part of his body to the ground. The part of the body, the face, that people take care of the most, you are taking it in a symbolic expression of submission and putting it on the lowest part of the planet in order to say Allah is the highest. And then he said, when you look at the ground, a person should realize that this is where I'm going. One day I'm going to be entered into this ground. And I'm going to become part of this ground. And so when he says that in his sajda, his heart will begin to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. I remember once we were doing a non-Muslim exhibition in the masjid, There was this man who came in, he was a teacher, and he wanted a tour of the masjid. So I took him upstairs to the musalla, and he said, what do you guys do here? And I said, we pray here. He goes, could you show me how you pray? I showed him just the movements, and then he said, can I try as well? So I said, go for it. So he skipped everything and went to the sajda. And then he made a long sajda. And then he came up and he said to me that, I've never felt peace like that before. He goes, that's the best experience I ever had in my life. And then I became embarrassed. I said, he has experienced something in his salah I've never experienced in my salah. And he's not even Muslim. Honestly, I felt subhanAllah embarrassed to myself that he felt something in his sajda. But this is the thing, the postures of the salah, they are also carrying meaning as well. It is not just randomness. Those postures are designed to express something. And of their expressions is submission. Yes. In ruku', when you take a bow, like at the end of the show, the performers, they take a bow, yes, for the audience. Why do they do that for? What's the point of that? What are they trying to say by bowing? Gratitude. Anything else? Some form of humbleness. Yes, it's a form of humbleness, isn't it? That they're all cheering you and you're saying, I'm not worthy. Isn't it? I'm not worthy. Trying to express your humility. In the same way, a person when he bows, he is showing his humility before Allah. And he's also expressing his gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Besides Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also used to say the following. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdihi. Very easy to add on. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la wa bihamdihi. Which means, I declare the perfection of my Master and also His praise. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also say, Subhanaka Allahumma Rabbana wa bihamdik Allahumma khfirli. That I declare the perfection of my Master or our Master as well as His praise. O Allah, forgive me. O Allah, forgive me. It's very important to ask Allah to forgive you. There's this man, he used to live in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, Ibn Jud'an. He was a philanthropist, a very charitable person. People that used to come for Hajj, because even before the Prophet ﷺ, people from Arabia used to come to offer Hajj, except that they used to do it in a very shirky way. There was a man, Ibn Jud'an, he would host people, give them food and drink. Imagine somebody hosted the Hajjaj today. Yeah. So he would do that year after year. And Aisha, radiallahu ta'ala anha, she asked the Prophet ﷺ a question. She said, Ya Rasulullah, what's going to happen to Ibn Jud'an? Meaning he's a mushrik, but he's such a nice guy though. So the Prophet ﷺ said, لم يقل يوما اللهم اغفر لي خطيئتي يوم الدين. He said, this man, never once did he ever say, oh Allah, forgive me on the day that I meet you. He never once said, oh Allah, forgive me on the day that I'm going to meet you. Meaning he didn't have faith in Allah. He might have been respectful towards people, but he was disrespectful towards Allah. And because of that, he's not going to go to paradise, he's going to go to Jahannam. May Allah forgive us. So saying Allahumma khfirli is very important. Every single moment you can, especially in Salah, say Allahumma khfirli, oh Allah forgive me. May Allah forgive our sins. So this is the sajda. Now here, people often ask a question. Is it possible to make dua in my own language during the sajda? Now this question is a very good question. It's based on a hadith of Ukkasha that he asked the Prophet, I want to be with you in Jannah. Yes. Imagine, you just in the company of the Prophet and you're itching to ask, can I be with you in paradise? So you ask, Ya Rasulullah, I want to be with you in paradise. So the Prophet said that increase in the amount of dua you make in sajda. Increase in the amount of dua you make in sajda. So based on that, it is recommended to make a lot of dua in sajda. And again, a lot of people, they don't do this. But how if you don't speak Arabic? Well, the scholars, they say when it comes to your obligatory prayers, a person must only say the dua in Arabic. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray as you have seen me pray. And the Prophet never used to pray in other than Arabic. So a person needs to memorize some Arabic du'as for their obligatory prayers. But when it comes to the sunnah and the nafil prayers, then it is open and flexible. A person can make dua in whatever language he wishes. In fact, I personally recommend you make dua in your mother language. If that is English, in English. If it is another language, make it in that language. And the main thing is that a person, he needs to pour his heart out to Allah. That's going to be very difficult if you're trying to do it in another language. Yes. So in your nafil and sunnah, make as much dua in your whichever language of your preference. Wallahu a'lam. Now, another thing which people don't know about, that is in between the sajda, there is also a dhikr that can be made. Now, some of the scholars, they say they don't practice upon this. Yes. However, many other scholars, they say, no, this is authentically reported from the Prophet. He used to say this in between his sajda. So you make one sajda, come back up. There you say something before you go back into the second sajda. And this is what is reported. This is a mistake here. It's supposed to be Allahumma khfirli. There's a mistake there, just correct that. Allahumma khfirli, warhamni, wahdini, wajburni, wa'afini, warzuqni, warfa'ni. If you are struggling to memorize all of it, at least say Allahumma khfirli. That's the first part of it. Yes. The first dua is Allahumma, oh Allah, forgive me. Have mercy on me. Guide me. Wajburni, they say it means direct me to the right path. Afini means overlook my mistakes. Warzuqni means may Allah give us wealth. Warfa'ni means may Allah raise us. Yes, beautiful words to say. And then a person goes back into sajda. Okay, we are now coming to the end of the salah. Tashahhud. Tashahhud is the sitting part of the salah. There are, in fact, 5 different wordings of tashahhud reported from the Prophet ﷺ authentically. And they are usually found in the books named after the companion who was taught it by the Prophet ﷺ. The most famous of them is the one of Ibn Mas'ud. The Ibn Mas'ud, he said that one day the Prophet ﷺ, he held my hand in between his 2 hands. Yes? Like this. And he taught me the tashahhud like he taught me Quran. Subhanallah al-Azim. Imagine having your hand clasped by the 2 blessed hands of the Prophet. I was reflecting over this. Why do that? Why do that? You're a teacher. You're teaching someone something to do with the deen. Why are you showing such affection? Now what is amazing, subhanallah, is Ibn Mas'ud, he taught his student Alqamah tashahhud in the same way. He said, Alqamah, give me your hand. Held his hand. Taught him. Alqamah taught Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, his student, in the same way. Ibrahim al-Nakha'i taught his student in the same way, and his student taught Abu Hanifa in the same way. And today, people who memorize hadith, if they memorize from what a teacher the hadith about the tashahhud, they will find the teacher will say, give me your hand. This is part of the hadith. This is part of the tashahhud, learning it. One of the benefits, wallahu a'lam, of this affection is in order to make the learning an emotional experience. That when a person has an emotional experience and they're emotionally engaged, that becomes an imprint in their mind and on their heart. Difficult to forget. And no doubt about it, when he related it to other people, he made sure he mentioned that part as well. Yes. So the tashahhud that the Prophet taught him was at-tahiyyatu lillahi was-salawatu wat-tayyibat. And it continues, and I'm going to break it down to 3 parts. Yes. The first part is at-tahiyyatu lillahi was-salawatu wat-tayyibat. You are saying 3 things are for Allah. The first one is at-tahiyyat. At-tahiyyat comes from the root of haya. Hayat means life. Yes. So the meaning, it seems as though, is Allah, may you have life. But the thing is, that doesn't really make sense. Allah is Al-Hayy, He is ever living. How can you say Allah has have life? So one of the scholars who was living during the time of Imam Shafi'i in Mecca, his name is Abdullah ibn Salam al-Ijli. He became very curious as to what at-tahiyyat meant. And he went on a mission to find out what it meant. So he went to some of his teachers. He said, what at-tahiyyat means. And they said, in pre-Islamic times, the Arabs would say, Hayyakallah. Have you ever heard this before? Hayyakallah. What does Hayyakallah mean? It means, may Allah give you a long life. He said to himself, but we can't say that to Allah. He was not satisfied. He went to another one of his teachers. He said, At-tahiyyat. What does At-tahiyyat mean? His teacher said, it means Al-barakat. Then he said to himself, how can barakah be for Allah? Allah is barakah. And in another tashahhud, At-tahiyyatul mubarakatu tayyibatu lillah. He said, At-tahiyyat and Al-barakat are side by side. They can't mean the same thing. He wasn't satisfied. Then he went to Muhammad ibn Hassan. He said, what does At-tahiyyat mean? Muhammad ibn Hassan said, this is just ibadah. Just say it the way you're supposed to say it. Well, make a big deal out of it, basically. So, Al-Ijli, he went to Kufa, Iraq, to find Imam al-Shafi'i to ask him what does At-tahiyyat mean. He came to Imam al-Shafi'i, he said, what does At-tahiyyat mean? He said, before you answer, I've been to this person, he told me this, I've been to this person, and the last person told me, and he just say, well, you're making a big deal out of it. Imam al-Shafi'i said, there are people, they don't know about shi'r, poetry. Meaning the real spirit and meaning behind this word can only be known to people who know poetry. And Imam al-Shafi'i was a poet. So he said, At-tahiyyat means al-mulk, which means it is, when you are in the chambers of a king and you greet the king by saying, Your Highness. Your Highness. At-tahiyyat, he said, meant royal compliments to you, Allah. That is what At-tahiyyat means. Royal compliments for the King of Kings. At-tahiyyat. Wat-tayyibat. Was-salawat, wat-tayyibat. As-salawat means our prayers. Our prayers are for you, Allah, as well as royal compliments. And at-tayyibat means attractive things that one does in their life, besides their worship. Like a person, he gets up out of his seat for an elderly person on the train, or he helps out his neighbor, or he does an act of kindness, or he's good to his parents. Those are at-tayyibat. You're saying at-tayyibat lillah. All those things, Allah, I do them for you. Another meaning is, you are the one who inspired me to do them. Yes? At-tahiyyat, wat-tayyibat, was-salawat lillah. All these things are for you. That's the first part. The second part is Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Then you say, Assalam to you, O Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalam meaning, may Allah's peace and safety be upon you. May Allah's peace and safety be upon you, as well as His rahmah, as well as the barakat of Allah. Now somebody may say, it seems as though from the wording you are speaking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alayka, you, our messenger. But the Prophet is not living. So, how do we understand that? Are you implying by saying that the Prophet is alive and you are speaking to him, like some extreme Sufis believe? No. The answer is that this dua is taught to us like Quran is taught to us. And you recite it and say it just like you recite some Quran. For example, in the Quran Allah says, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. Messenger, you can't guide who you love. Now, would we reword the Quran to reflect the fact that the Prophet has passed away? We wouldn't do that, would we? In the same way, At-tahiyyatu lillahi wa salatu wa tayyibat, Assalamu alayka, you wouldn't change that. It is something which we recite because it is what we memorize from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ibn Uthaymeen, he said something amazing. He said, where it says barakatuhu, that the barakat of Allah be upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He said, what that means is Allah shower him with barakah by making his followers adhere to his sunnah more closely and thereby increasing more rewards for you. This is your barakah. May Allah put barakah in you, meaning, oh Ya Rasulullah, may Allah make your followers become closer to your sunnah and therefore you earn more rewards through them. And then Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin, and may the peace and blessing, may the peace and safety of Allah be upon us and all of the righteous slaves. Now look at the plural here. You don't say me, you say us. And one of the benefits of that is you're supposed to think about your fellow Muslims in your prayer. In Surah Al-Fatiha, we say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. The noon in na'budu means we, not I. It's not a'budu, it's na'budu. We alone worship you. We alone seek your help. The we is there in the prayer to connect the people together. And that becomes even more amazing when you think about, for example, when everyone gathers together in the haram for the salah, standing side by side, almost 1 million people. And they are praying together, and then they are saying the words together. Those words, they are making dua for one another. And Ibn Mas'ud, he said, whoever says, Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin, and means it, that the salam of Allah, it comes and it touches every righteous slave of Allah in the skies and the earth. Narration of Ibn Mas'ud. And in the end, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. We make our shahada at the end of at-tahiyyat. There are some other versions, and I encourage you to try and memorize them. Again, they will bring that novelty in the salah. Now, there's just a few more things to end the salah, and then inshallah we'll open up for question and answers. Now we are making salah on the Prophet, which they call durood. And again, there are many ways of doing it, many wordings. Here is the one that is most common to us. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. What does it mean, oh Allah, send your salah on the Prophet? There are two meanings. The first meaning is, oh Allah, send your rahmah on the Prophet, have rahmah on him. However, the second meaning, which goes back to Ibn al-Arabi, Abu al-Aliya, from the Tabi'een, Abu al-Aliya, he said, no, it doesn't mean have mercy on the Prophet. It means, oh Allah, make mention of the Prophet ﷺ in Mala' al-A'la, in the highest of heavens. We believe that they are creatures, angels and whatever else there is in Jannah that is already created and waiting. We ask Allah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allah, please make mention of His name amongst those people. That is what Allahumma salli ala Muhammad means. This is the second meaning. And then you say, wa ala ali Muhammad, and upon the family of Muhammad. Now there's another word in Arabic for family. Al is one. What's a more common one? How do you say family in Arabic? Huh? Ahl. Yes. So Ibn Uthaymin, he said, we don't say wa ala ahli Muhammad. We say wa ala ali Muhammad. He said the difference is ahl means immediate family, al can mean extended family. And he said extended family of the Prophet ﷺ includes all of his followers, meaning us. So when you say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, it means, oh Allah, mention the Prophet and mention all of us to the people in Jannah. Subhanallah. What is amazing is that the Prophet, he connected between us and him in his prayer. Every single salah. There's a beautiful hadith, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. She says that one day I was sitting with the Prophet ﷺ, I was just looking at him and admiring him. And then she said, Ya Rasulullah, you make dua for me. And the Prophet said, okay, let's make dua for you. He raised his hand and said, Allah, forgive Aisha for everything she has done wrong in her past and her future, and things that she may do in private and that which she has done in public. Allahumma ameen. So Aisha, she became so overwhelmed, she fell into the lap of the Prophet and started to giggle. So the Prophet said to her, are you astonished that I make dua for you by name? She said, am I worthy of being made dua for by name by you? And then he said, Wallahi, I make this dua for all of my followers in every one of my salah. Unbelievable, isn't it? He used to make dua for us in every one of his prayers. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And then Ibrahim alayhi salam is mentioned. Kama sallayta ala Ibrahim. Just like you made salah on Ibrahim alayhi salam and the extended family of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Now, there's some virtues there of making salah on the Prophet which you can read inshallah. What do you do now after you made salah? You make dua. After making salah on the Prophet, you make dua. Now, what is the well-known dua that people usually make? Can you just shout it out for me? What dua do you usually make at the end of your salah? Huh? What is it? رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً. Okay. Any other ones? Common ones? رَبِّ اجْعَلْنِي مُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ مِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي رَبَّنَا وَتَقَبَّلْ دُعَاءِ. This one? Yeah. Allahumma anta salam minka salam. That's your last dua before taslim. After taslim. Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi. Okay, I don't think many people know that one. Let me share one dua with you, okay, which I would advise you to memorize. There's this dua, this one here. The Prophet ﷺ used to say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhab al-qabr, or min adhab jahannam, wa min fitnat al-mahya wal-mamat, wa min sharri fitnat al-masih al-dajjal. This is an amazing dua. You ask Allah for four things. The first thing you ask for is what? The fastest car that is known to man. The biggest mansion eyes have ever laid. Yes? No, none of those things. You ask for four things, all connected to do with the akhirah. Nothing to do with the dunya. You say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min. Oh Allah, I seek a refuge in four things. Number one, adhab al-qabr. The punishment of the grave. Number two, وَمِنْ عَذَابِ جَهَنَّمْ. From the punishment of the hellfire. Number three, وَمِنْ فِتْنَةِ الْمَحْيَاءِ وَالْمَمَاتِ. And the trials and tribulations of life and death. In life, a person goes through many difficulties and trials that can derail you from your path to Allah. You are saying, Allah, I seek refuge from those type of trials. And then the trial of death itself. وَمِنْ شَرِّ فِتْنَةِ الْمَسِيحِ الدَّجَّالِ. And then, very strange, I seek refuge in you from the false Messiah, Ad-Dajjal. Why did the Prophet mention that as well? Because the Prophet told us that there is no fitna that is going to be worse than the fitna of Ad-Dajjal. May Allah protect us and our children. It is so severe that the Prophet ﷺ made it part of the prayer. That every one of us needs to ask Allah's protection from Masih ad-Dajjal. So these are the four things. I would advise you to memorize this dua. There is another dua as well, which is given to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and you can memorize that one as well. Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi zulman kathira, wa la yaghfiru dhunuba illa ant, faghfir li maghfiratan min indik, warhamni innaka antal ghafur rahim. Look at the translation and think about the person who was taught it. Oh Allah, I have wronged myself terribly, excessively. And there is no one that can forgive sins except for you. So forgive me with the forgiveness that comes especially from you, and have mercy on me. Indeed, you are extremely forgiving, all merciful. Now, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, teach me a dua to say in my salah. And the Prophet, he taught him this dua. He taught Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who is number 2 after the Prophet ﷺ, a dua which is asking Allah for forgiveness. What does that mean about us? If Abu Bakr needs to ask for forgiveness in every salah and tell Allah, I have wronged myself excessively, what then about us? Food for thought, isn't it? SubhanAllah. This is another dua the person should memorize. And then lastly, Assalamu alayka, Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah. A person can also say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A person can also say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and Assalamu alaikum. Or the other way around as well. There are many differences. One of the strange things I saw in Egypt is that the Imam would say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That's it. And I was like, what? Like, that's a really strange place to forget what you're supposed to do next, isn't it? It's right at the end. But everyone was like cool with it. Everyone just finished in the salah. And I was like, what's going on there? So I learned that according to some of the fuqaha, the salah can be ended, or the salah ends with the first taslim, and the second one is recommended. So the Imam wanted to teach the people that this is technically something you should know about. Then I found something even stranger in Morocco. In Morocco, the Imam would say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So quietly, the second one. I thought, what's this all about now? So it's something else. So I asked about it. They said that this is one of the opinions in the Maliki madhab. That the first Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah is a salam that is being given to the congregation and to the malaika. Yes? And the second one is like a personal one. So the second one is said quietly. The first one is said out loud. Wallahu a'lam. And if you are the Imam, do not play with the people like this, unless there is some serious wisdom behind it, inshallah. But technically, the first taslim is the one that finishes the salah. So again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Who are you saying salam to? The scholars say you are saying assalam to the rest of the congregation, the person next to you, and to the angels that rest on the shoulder on each side. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this gathering from us and write it in our scale of good deeds, and ask Allah that He helps us to improve in our salah. May Allah give us khushu' in our prayers. Allahumma